Real talk, the metaphor messiah, man. I got this one. Let's go. You ever seen the morning star? Mr. Metaphor Messiah, back to show you who we are. I represent a legacy, a pothead like the 70s, a different kind of mind. They say we only speak in melodies.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Dead on Dave coming at you live from Germany, and welcome to Dead on Dave Live. That's right, we got a lot to get into today because everybody's going crazy. In fact, I just had a little run-in with the god of YouTube himself, Mr. Killer Keemstar. He might call in. I doubt it because he doesn't want to make me famous. He doesn't want to make me famous, so he might not call in. But we just all came over from Tommy C's stream where he talked about the Phil DeFranco story, which is what everybody's talking about. Everybody's talking about Phil DeFranco because that is the big thing right now. Look, for those of you who don't know, we're going to try to do this Phil DeFranco style. We'll try to give all the facts on each side, and then we'll talk about it and give our opinions on all of that happy, hippy, dippy horse shit, because that's the way that we should be doing it. Then we're going to take your calls, your questions, your comments, your concerns, your hopes, your dreams, your quips, your quotes, and all that good stuff. All right, so let's start here. Phil DeFranco is launching a brand new network. Now, if you don't know who Phil DeFranco is, he's been around for a very long time. He's made a lot of different channels and entities. He has been involved with Maker Studios in the past, and he's been involved with SourceFed and all these things, which have been sold and merged for different reasons throughout the course of his career. Now, going forward, after the end of SourceFed, Mr. Phil DeFranco wants to create a brand new type of network conglomerate. It seems like that's what he's selling. And to do that, it takes a lot of money. At least this is what he's telling us he's trying to accomplish. So he went to his fans, and the reasoning for going to his fans was this. Now, this is from his mouth. He wants to make his network, his source, everything that he does without the possibility of being corrupted by an outside agenda, which he would have if he took outside investors' money and had to share everything, including fame, profit, all of that, with them. He doesn't want to do that, mainly because he doesn't want anybody to be able to point to it and go, bias, bias, look who owns you, look who does this, look who's pulling your strings, nor does he want to have to answer to anybody creatively. All of these things he has stated in that 4.5-minute video where he talked about the entire situation with him creating this new entity. So everybody's freaking out as far as, well, not everybody, a silent minority, or not a silent, a very loud minority is kind of freaking out about what exactly he's going to do with this money. Now, it all depends on what you believe at the end of the day. Do you believe that Phil DeFranco is an honorable guy? Is he going to do what he said? Or is he going to try and turn this for profit if it starts to make money? The only problem with that logic is pointing to the things. This is what Keemstar called in the Tommy C's channel and tried to sell, was that he sold previous things for money, which isn't exactly true. There's not a lot of records as far as what happened exactly with SourceFed, but most accounts of the SourceFed situation is that they were going under. And Phil merged actually twice on two separate occasions, once in 2013 and once in 2016, to keep the company going, to keep the people that are employed there going, because that's the thing that's different. That's what separates Phil from other YouTubers here on the platform, is he has an entire staff, multiple staffs that he pays living wages to. He creates jobs, and this is what he's trying to do when he creates this brand new company, which will have a completely different name, which he has assured us is not in the DeFranco universe. It will have a different name that will not be Phil DeFranco. So the question is, what is Phil DeFranco going to be doing with the donations that he gets from you, from everybody who wants to support him? Well, he answered some of those questions in that 4.5-minute video. He's building a brand new office studio where he could film multiple segments, multiple shows, multiple things. He's bringing on new talent, looking for new people to come in. There's going to be all kinds of people behind the scenes, let alone the people that he's having to hire to actually build the studio. So it seems like, to me, from the outside looking in, it seems like there is more than just another YouTube channel, because you can do a YouTube channel on the cheap. There's no question about that. Now, Phil's a little bit different than that. He's not the exact same as just a regular old YouTube channel doing stuff on the cheap. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that part of it. Now, you can argue over back and forth of what you think he's going to do based off if you think he did nefarious things in the past or not. But until he actually takes these people's money and snakes them out of it, I don't think that there's a whole hell of a lot that you can do. You could protest, you could say what you want to say, but the reality is he's got a really damn good reputation. Phil DeFranco's got a pretty strong reputation. At least in my opinion. I've never seen the guy really do anything all that wrong, but some people are going to go the otherwise. And if you want to look at his business dealings as proof, well, there's really not a lot there. There's so much ambiguity to Phil DeFranco. Nobody's even sure exactly what the guy's even worth. So it's hard to tell. It's very hard to tell exactly what the whole situation is with his previous business dealings. But here's what I want to do, because I'm a little bit conflubbered here because of everything that happened with Keem. I'm not sure if he's going to call in or not. And I do want to make sure I get him on if he does call in. But here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to go through the points of which he made of what he was going to be doing with the donations. Let's go through them point by point and start there, okay? I think that's a pretty fair way of going. So first, the outside agenda from investors inserting bias. This was his big point. This is something that he has stated many times, that he thinks that media should be free and it shouldn't be impacted by other ownership groups and all of that. Inherently, this is a really good thing. Now, again, you have to go into it believing that he himself is not biased. Now, there are a lot of people that already believe he is a biased journalist, which I actually am not 100% in agreement with. Yes, he gives his opinion, but usually, most of the time, almost 100% of the time, Philly D starts every single story like this. He tells you the who, what, where, when, why, and how, and he usually gives you both sides of the argument of who is arguing, why they're arguing, and what is actually going on. Then he will weigh in with his own opinions. And then usually at the end of the week, he'll go and take your guys' questions and try to revisit the topic and sometimes even change his mind. So I think from a fair and biased argument, I think Phil D gets the benefit of the doubt because that's what he does. So that's the first thing. The second, he talked about restrictions from corporate investors. Even if we dismiss the agenda argument for some reason, bringing in outside investors that only care for profit and a bottom line inherently restrict how you do something, simply because they have some askew research that tells them that something that in your delivery, your words, being edgy, whatever is hurting the profit level, then they as investors have a play to force you and coerce you to change. Phil doesn't want that. And Phil, in fact, in that 4.5-minute video where he talks about the donations and everything, he goes on to say that he had other offers from bigger entities that was going to support him, but I think he just doesn't want to give up that level of control for these reasons that I just stated. So now let's talk about the actual Patreon, because that's another important thing, because everyone's freaking out over, well, he's giving perks. Is he going to give access to the perks? Is he going to actually come and come through with what he was saying he was going to do? So let's go to that. By the way, we got a donation. I appreciate that. I appreciate the irony. After donated $10, one word, speculation. Phil's rep and spine is 99% what drives him up the charts. Pretty sure he won't fuck himself and everyone else over. That's the best point I think that you can make, because if he does any of the nefarious things that certain people like Keemstar, Honor the Call, and a few others are accusing him of what he's going to do based off pure speculation, it will end Phil DeFranco. Because in a minute, I'm going to tell you why this situation is different than SourceFed and the other entities that he's had before, because there is a difference. So with the perks, everything that he's promised so far and things that I've seen on his Patreon, it's essentially VIP access to content. Him personally either talking to you, letting you get into live streams, whatever the case may be. It's a perk he's offering you to decide if investing is right for you and his fans. And let me tell you something. If you're a fan of somebody big enough, these perks are worth it. I may not personally think that it's worth giving $50 to Phil DeFranco because he's going to shout me out on the show, or I'll be able to participate in a live stream at some point. But I'll tell you what, you get the right wrestlers in front of me, I'll pay for that. I'll pay for VIP access to Shawn Michaels. Look, you're talking to a guy who almost beat the hell out of a fellow soldier at Tribute to the Troops 2007 to catch a shirt thrown into the crowd by Shawn Michaels. So fandom is different to each person and what you're willing to do. So I think that's that's eye of the beholder type stuff. Now, there are plenty of people that believe in not only what he does, but that this is how news should be given. And they're willing to fund him through this message, because this is what you got to understand. And this is the important thing with Phil DeFranco. He is selling a new form of media, an unbiased, clear way of presenting stories. That's what he's selling. Now, if he doesn't deliver on that, his career's over. And I get the pretty clear indication that the career matters big to Phil DeFranco. He's huge. He's massive. He has influence. He doesn't get hundreds of thousands of hits on videos. He gets millions of hits on videos. Now, if you want to argue over the fact that this is independent broadcasting or if it actually isn't, I think that's a completely different argument altogether. Now, why this is different than his other entities is the fact that he is involving you and not going through mergers with other corporations, which is what happened with SourceFed on not three, I don't know why I held up three fingers, they're fat, I don't know, two separate situations. Two separate times SourceFed was merged with other companies, once in 2013 and once in 2016. Neither one of those times did Phil DeFranco pull out of SourceFed. He was still in there to the last day. He still was an executive to the last day. When the doors closed, not on his behest, on Discovery's behest. So it's all on what you want to believe. There's so much ambiguity. So that's kind of what I think is important to touch on. I think another misconception about Phil DeFranco is that he's still making all the money that he was making in the past. Well, if you watch Phil DeFranco, he's not exactly ad-friendly himself. He talks about it quite often, that almost all of his videos are in restricted mode, and he's having just as hard time with the adpocalypse as everybody else. This is another reason why going to this format will work for him, because it can transcend what he's doing on YouTube. Creating an office like this, now this is me reading into it a little bit, but based off of what I'm gathering for what he's doing, I feel that this is going to transcend what YouTube is. He's going to be doing other forms of media, probably a podcast room, similar to what Ethan's doing. Very similar to what Ethan's doing. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he ends up doing here, because this is a risky situation. It is such a ballsy fucking move on so many ways. It would have been ballsy just to bring in investors and hope that they didn't try to skew the way that he presents the news. That would have been risky for a whole nother set of reasons. But the fact that he went to you, that he went to fan base and is asking for their help to help him, because he is investing his own money, his own family's future into this, something that he believes in. This is passion for him. He believes in this. He believes in this is how news should be delivered, and he is willing to put not only his money, but his reputation on the line. I respect that, man. So that's the way I look at it. Now, I don't think it's inherently wrong for anybody to disagree what he's doing, because at the end of the day, he's still worth a hell of a lot of money, between $1 and $4 million, depending on which news source you believe. Now, he has refuted the fact that he is worth any more than $1 million, and I don't know what's true with that. Honestly, doesn't matter to me. Kanye West asked fucking Mark Zuckerberg for $1 billion to invest into ideas, not to become a business partner. No, motherfucker, just give me money so I can create stuff. It happens all the time. You see other people that have been successful in one area. When they start with something else, they go to something called angel investors, where there's usually no interest in those investments, and a lot of time they're not giving up any equity or any stock to the people that are involved. It's a donation a lot of the times. Sometimes it's not. It just depends on what type of situation you're in. Now, Phil knows that the one thing that he can part with is himself, his time. So that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to give you a piece of him for some money to help him start up this venture. And I think it's worthwhile. And I also think that it's one of the ballsiest things that anybody has done on this platform, for the specific reason, if it fails, if he fucks up, if there's a scandal, if what Killer Keemstar is saying is true and he sells it for profit and gives everyone a finger, He's done. He's going to have to move to fucking Belize. He's finished. Nobody will ever give him the time of day again. Why would they? He's a scam. He's a con artist. But I don't get that. I don't get that. That's not what I get. That's not what I see when I hear him talk. I am a fan of Phil DeFranco, and I got to be upfront about that. I think he is the best guy on the platform giving news. I think he's fair. I think he's very on both sides. Yes, he always gives his opinion afterwards, but that's okay. That's the entertainment side of it. So it is what it is. That's the way I took it. That's the way I see it. I want to hear from you guys. So thank you very much so far for joining us. Make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you've yet to do so. If you seem to like my particular style of giving you guys news, talking about all the crazy shit that happens. And if you guys are just tuning in now because of the story, I'm Dead on Dave. I do a little bit of everything here. I do video games, wrestling, all kinds of stuff. And I do it in my own kind of quirky way. I do a lot of Pokemon. I'm a big old fat nerd. Okay. And I love what I do. And I love talking about things that interest me. So hopefully you'll come around with me on this ride and you guys will stick around the channel and not just come in because it was a big old friggin' story. All right. Let's go to Discord. Maybe we'll open up Skype as well. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I'm seeing if Keem is in there. I don't see him. I knew he wasn't going to call in, but let's start with Speedy Bird. She always has something to say. Speedy Bird, you're live with Dead on Dave. What you got?
Hi, Dave. Can you hear me?
I can, lovely. How you doing?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, one thing I wanted to say, and I was trying to get through to Tommy to say it, is that he's had to buy back the Phil DeFranco show.
Yes. Yes, he did. He had to actually pay for the rights to get it back. That is 100%, which cost money.
Of course, money. Yeah. And, you know, and no one's forcing anyone to donate. It's totally up to us. And he's trying to create something new. I'm all for it. Yeah. And I just think Keem's salty.
You know, I got to give Keem some credit. I didn't really get that he was being salty in that when he called into Tommy. I kind of wish I would have been there because I don't think Tommy should have folded as easy as he did. But, you know, it is.
No, I was annoyed at Tommy.
It's okay. But like sometimes with situations like this, Tommy goes to straight emotion and he doesn't always gather everything. So when someone brings up new facts and he doesn't know those facts, he might think they're 100% true. And Keem was selling some pretty good stuff there. I can't lie. But the problem is, it wasn't all exactly factual because a lot of it's ambiguous. And if you listen to Keemstar, when he was saying everything, he even said he wasn't sure because nobody knows. There's no specifics. There's no specifics.
Nobody knows exactly what the future will hold.
No.
You know, we don't know what the plan is. You know, if we want to help Philly D, it's up to us, you know, and good on him for trying. And in these times, and he's always said this was always his plan to create a news network that was totally independent. And this has been his plan. This is no surprise because of the apocalypse.
Yeah. And that's another thing, too. And I'm going to let you go on that. I'm going to follow up on that point because I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, Speedy. You have a good night.
And you too.
Great call. That's a really good point that I wanted to bring up earlier as well. The fact is, well, hopefully it's going to fix itself. I think that it is. We'll go ahead and try to keep this going. Is it lagging? We stabilized? I think we stabilized. Sorry about that. My internet is booty friggin' hoo-ow. If she's on the internet, I'm going to kill her. It might be my daughter. Hopefully the internet is back. Just let me know. There we go. We're back. Sorry about that, guys. My internet, the little hamster on the wheel, he's running, and he's like me. He's fat, so he gave out, and he died. I apologize for that. Let's go ahead and go back into Discord and start taking some more calls. But keep in mind that the money that was once there, to support this endeavor by Phil DeFranco, it may not be there anymore. We just don't know. And I think it's unfair to judge him just because he has a perception of being a millionaire. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and take some more callers. Let's bring in an old friend of the channel. He's so old of the channel, old friend of the channel. We call him Old School Matt. You're live with Dead on Dave. What you got?
I'll be honest, Dave. I really do like this idea of Phil DeFranco doing his own network because I think it needs to be done.
Fair. Okay.
Not just that. I mean, guys like, I don't consider guys like Keemstar or Scarce legitimate news.
They're different. They're entertainment style, and Phil is too, to an extent, but nobody does the research, especially those two guys. And that's not even a knock to Keem and Scarce. They get too many things wrong to actually, they're not in the same fucking stratosphere as Phil DeFranco. Not on production wise, not on investigation wise, not on the speaking level wise. They're a different brand of entertainment. I don't even think that that's necessarily a knock. It's just a reality. It's different. They're TMZ. He's more 60 minutes. You could tell he loves journalism. He loves bringing out news. It depends on your preference.
Thank you for saying that, because I kept thinking I can't call them news, or else I feel like I need to call TMZ news.
Right. You know what though? It is all news. It is all things that are happening within different communities. They are breaking stories. Drama is part of news. It is all news technically. It just depends on what you feel is legitimate news or important news or relevant news or actual news. It just depends on how you believe it to be. But if you're a fan of the YouTube platform, well, hearing one guy fuck another guy's girlfriend on stream one day, well, that doesn't get bigger than that. That's important shit. You know, hearing about somebody hacking somebody else or stealing ideas or information from somebody, that's important shit. So I don't even knock him for that. I just think it's a different realm. I think what Philly D does is just different than what guys like Scarce and Keem does. It's just my opinion. More mainstream.
I understand that. And it does, like you said, sort of depend on your preference.
Absolutely. A different ass for all asses for ass for every seat. That's what I always like to say.
All right.
You got anything else, old school?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right,
Later.
man. I appreciate your call. You have a good night, buddy. Sorry if I'm a little bit more conflubbered than I usually am, but you know what? I was getting a little bit hopped up there. I thought I was kind of hoping Keem might call in, you know? That'd be something that I don't get to do every single day. My God, how fun would that be? Let's bring in a good friend, man. He's a cool guy. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but you should if you're not listening to him. He is Young Crip. Not Crip as in shoot you gangbanger, Young Crip as in cripple, because he's a cripple. What's up, Young Crip?
True.
You're live with Dead on Dave.
Thank you for the disclaimer. I need that.
Oh, I didn't want people thinking you were like out there gangbanging people and shit, you know? I just wanted
No, not me.
If you
That's how
did,
I
you would
ended
need
up
a
in a
pretty
wheelchair
large
then.
fucking van to make sure they can lower down your chair. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's high fucking intensity gangbanging. All right. How you doing, buddy?
Dude? I'm doing good, man. I was giving my opinion about it last night when Keem was ranting, and the thing I will give Keem credit for is that I do find it admirable and respectable that he was cool enough to be, don't donate to me, don't donate to the bigger guys,
Sure.
like, go donate to the smaller guys, because I have a Patreon too, and I was nervous about it for a long time. I didn't think about getting one because of the negativity that comes nowadays from having one. Like, everybody has one.
Well, that's an ideology. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
that is just a personal belief on who should be donating and who should be accepting donations and who shouldn't be. The reality is he doesn't know Phil DeFranco. He doesn't know what exactly is necessary for Phil DeFranco's lifestyle. And the fact is, Phil took a risk by doing this because he had to know the reaction he would get by some communities, and he simply didn't care anyway. I don't think this was just a whim thing that he did just to do. It was probably a necessity in some form or fashion. I think he gave enough of an explanation where I'm willing to give him a pass, at least for the time being.
Absolutely, and I completely agree. That was my big thing with everybody was nobody can say and nobody knows for sure how much this guy has. I mean, Keem can say he has all the data and whatnot, but like, you don't see it, I don't see it, so I can't really go off of his word. But I do know that it takes a lot more to run the kind of operation that he says that he wants to make.
Yeah.
And I trust in him because of the credibility he has. And I think that's worth supporting because it's not just YouTube, it transcends YouTube. I think nowadays everybody can say that we are so sick of biased news, CNN, Fox, whoever.
Sure.
And he wants to break away from that. And like, that's bigger than just YouTube. That's like shit the world needs.
It's a hell of a task. It is one difficult endeavor. Now, with him building an actual studio, I like to believe, and I might be wrong here, but I like to believe what he's doing is he is going to fill different voids within YouTube and maybe other entities as well. I think he's going to keep doing the Phil DeFranco show, which he said he was going to do. In fact, he said he was going to expand his operations on what he does with Phil DeFranco. and
Mm-hmm.
also create other things, probably more of a mainstream, something that's just solely political. Who knows? And until we get all of that, until we start seeing what actually happens, I think you have to reserve judgment unless you're a donator. If you're a donator and you're already having misgivings about it, well, then you have every right to speak up because you fucking donated. But just because you're another rich guy who doesn't think it's right for other rich guy to take donations because other people could use those donations, well, the fact is the people who are donating may not want to donate to a small YouTuber like me or like you. They want to donate to somebody who has a vision. They want to donate to somebody who might make a difference. That's where I don't think Keem is getting. I don't think he's understanding that part of the equation.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, let's be honest. He shit talked Patreon so much that even if, like, for some reason he were to start one, he would get so much shit for starting one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I mean,
and you know
like,
what?
come
Keem
on,
probably
the
doesn't
amount of
need
shit.
to. Keem, look,
No.
I don't like Keem. We don't like each other. He's never going to be my friend. I'm sure of that. And I don't really give a shit. But here's the thing. I have never once damned his hustle. That guy is self-made and he deserves a lot of credit for it. Do I agree in the avenues in which he made some of his money? No, because I think it's the fucking lowest common denominator of goddamn YouTube. I think trolling is absolute garbage. But you know what? He saw a void. He filled it. He made some fucking money. That's great on him. Nobody can fuck with his hustle. But that doesn't inherently give him the right to tell what other people to do with their vision, especially when they're trying to create something that you have no interest in attempting to do. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. No, and you're right, because, like, and you know, when people are calling him out, and like me, I'm not. I got accused of attacking, quote unquote, Keem when I respond to him, and it's like, because in the same statement I say, you know, I like you, Keem. I think you know, I like the stuff that you do.
I think he's
because I
entertaining.
do find it. Yes, that's what it boils down to. Is I find him very entertaining. But the thing is you can disagree with somebody and what they say and do, but still like be cool with them. I think that's important to remember as well.
Yeah, you don't have to be a cuck because you disagree.
Exactly.
You know, I think it's completely. I would have, you know, I really would have liked Keem to come on and have a discussion with me. And I don't know what facts that he can present. He didn't present anything factual when he went on Tommy's. It was just speculation. That's all he presented because that's all that's out there. I looked. There's nothing hard evidence out there. There's only estimated figures at best. And the best known stories of everything that happened with SourceFed and all that, the two mergers were not about making profit. They were about keeping the company going. But maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's the way the story, I understand it.
Exactly. And what was the thing from the past that was brought up? I didn't get to hear about that. Like there was something about him not doing something for some reason. I didn't catch that part.
I don't know. I guess somebody has already called him out for not coming through on a Patreon promise. I don't know.
He's got over 9,000. You know, how can you expect that to be like, okay, I want it now kind of thing? That I could expect that to take some time.
It'll take time. I do believe he's going to get to everything. Will some people fall through the cracks? Sure. But, you know.
Probably, yeah.
But I
feel like if you're going to donate, you should, you know, you're donating because you believe in that vision. And if you get that perk, cool, you know. But at the end of the day, I think if you're donating, it's doing it because you want to support that person.
Yeah, you have every right to demand the perk that you did donate for. If you did donate because you want to talk to Phil DeFranco and you don't get that, I think you have every right to go complain about it. And then Phil has to answer for it. And that's the risk that he took on. So we'll see.
Yeah. And again, like you said, when it boils down to is, I don't think he would have made this choice and decision if he didn't think that he was going to do it like right.
Right.
Because if he is, you know, let's go with the hypothetical. Yeah, he's just trying to get money. But yeah, that would fuck over his whole career.
It would. He's done. If he fucks this up, he's done. It's over. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Young Crip, I'm going to get some more calls, man. Tell the kids where they can find you, man, because not enough people are watching what you do, buddy.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I'm YouTube at Young Crip TV, and my Twitter is just Young Crip with YUNG and CRIPP. Two
That's
P's.
right. Remember, 2 P's, not the I'm gonna steal your car and murder your face crypt. This is a different crypt. This is the
Different
crypt
kind.
that you yes. He might stab you though. He's kind of crazy. All right. I appreciate
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
man.
You
Have a
take
good
it
night,
easy,
buddy.
man.
Good call. It's always good to hear from Young Crip. He's a good guy. Let's bring in some more people. I guess Keemstar went on a rant video. Not a big surprise. We'll see. Will Dylan Rodimus 8 on Twitter. Gaming Fault here on the YouTubes. Hopefully he has not had a heart attack from all of his crazy gaming that he's doing with Outlast 2, but he's here now. He's from Scotland, so listen carefully. You might not understand everything. What's going on, Will? What you got for me?
Nothing much. I'm all right, Dave. Basically, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this whole Patreon thing.
Mhm.
And I take it, is this why there's a big backlash from the people? Am I right in saying with Patreon, if you sign up for something, say it's that $100 thing, I remember Tommy and Keem talking about,
Mhm.
and do you have to give something back in return, so to speak?
Yeah, when you do Patreon, not all Patreons have this. Like I had a Patreon where I didn't have any perks. I did have perks and then I took them away because I knew I couldn't fulfill them.
Right.
But I made sure anybody who was involved that they either got an explanation from me or it was already past that time. So, but for people who, and I only had like 3 people who ever donated to me, but for things like Phil DeFranco, yes, there are different perks at different levels of how much you donate. You will receive certain benefits, whether it be exclusive content. I believe for a time there was FaceTime videos with Phil DeFranco. I believe that's been removed. At least that's what I'm being told. There's a lot of other stuff that, that can be promised or given. And in Phil's case, I'm assuming he's going to come through. Remember, this just started in the last 48 hours. So,
Because I was going to say, do you think he would have been safer doing it as a Kickstarter program where it's just purely like the donation goes in, how like a lot of the gaming programmers do to try and kick back up a game? If they'd done it as an investment through a Kickstarter where it's not as this Patreon thing, like this is where the big outcry is, do you think this wouldn't be a big talking point tonight, so to speak?
no, I think taking any source of crowdfunding would have drawn the same type of resentment, the same type of ire, because the big argument that Keem and Colossal and other people are making is the fact is he's rich, he doesn't need it. That's really the crux of the argument. There's other things that they're speculating on, but the crux of the argument is fuck that guy, he's rich, he doesn't need your money, which I think is short-sighted because you don't know him. You don't know him.
Yeah.
And I don't know him either. But I'm willing to believe, based off of what I know of him, how I perceive him, that I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until I no longer can. And when I don't, I will report that shit. I will talk about it because it's important news. Fall from grace for Phil DeFranco. I do think with the Kickstarter option, there are still options with Kickstarter to either get the item first before other people if they're trying to back. So there's still perks. Patreon is just a monthly, but could be canceled at any time, investment where you can renew your dedication to the goal. So Patreon's very convenient, and I think that's the reason why I used it. So I don't know.
Right, I just wasn't too sure, Dave, just with the way like the way it's been put across with the likes of the backlash, so to speak. And I mean, on top of that as well, as if he has got, obviously he's got the money, we don't know how much he's going to put in either.
Well, he said he's investing very heavily in it himself, which I would expect him to do.
Yeah.
But look, just because you want to create something like that doesn't mean that you leverage your entire family's fucking future for it. Not when you have people that are like-minded and believe in your cause that are willing to support you. The fact is, whether those perks are good for me or I like those perks or I think they're worth it, that is fucking irrelevant. The fact is, I think over 10,000, it was 9,000 last I checked, but now I'm sure there are over 9,000 people have decided to donate to this guy. Yeah. That is a hell of a number. That is a lot of people that are saying, I believe in you, Phil. I believe in your vision. Now, if 10,000 people are proven wrong or disappointed, he's fucking done. Yeah. It's over. Get Matt Hardy out here and delete him. because it's done. You know?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It was just confusing me with like certain things, but as like a business venture, I could understand where some people are like saying about, oh, if they're putting money in, like what are they going to get returned? Because if Keem is saying he'll sell it, now like you said, like a lot of the facts are not as true as what he was saying. What happens to those people that put their money in? It's like you said, it's one of these things only time can tell.
He's not going to, obviously, if this fails, that those people's money is lost. But that's a risk that those people are willing to put in there. And he is risking his reputation. Because if he fails and now he loses yours, my, other hardworking people's money, that's it. He's placing that is fucking important. That is not a small thing to be using as collateral, your reputation. That's what he's putting on the line. And a lot of people, like Keem, was trying to scream about, well, not even scream, I got to give credit. Keem was very calm and he was very fair in how he was trying to present a speculatory argument, but it was still speculatory at the end of the day. Now, the thing is, when you talk about the things from the past, I look at that and I think about all the shit that he had to go through, especially towards the end when he got kicked out of his offices and everything got shuttered, not because of his own doing, but because of the merger that he made that ended up giving up power. That's why he's doing this, because he went through this already. He went through with corporate partners and doesn't want to go through that hell again. So I don't know. I think that he learned something from it, hopefully, and we'll see. You got anything else for me, Will? I want to take some other calls.
No, dude, on you go. This has been a great show tonight.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. You have a good night, pal.
Thank you, Dave.
No problem. I know Brace has been pretty active in the chat. He's been going off a little bit in the chat. So let's hear what he's got to say if he can turn down my stream.
Oh, there
Come
he
on,
is.
Brace. Come on, Brace.
Yo,
what are you doing?
Dave.
What do you got for me, Brace? Because I'm about to destroy you. If you come to me with that weak-ass shit that you're putting in that chat, you're about to get on. Are you sure you want to do? We've done this before. Are you sure?
Well, we have done this before, but let's do it again.
All right, sounds good to me. I always
let's boil this thing down. All right. I've known this guy for 10 years. First of all, he's an asshole, but that's unrelated.
Okay, well, that's a personal opinion. Has no variance on the facts. Yeah. Please continue.
You're saying he stakes his reputation.
Absolutely.
He's not staking anything.
How is he not?
He makes a lot of money with ad revenue. Now it's going down a little bit. I'll give you that.
A little bit. It's going down a lot of it. So here's another thing. Wait, hold on. Let me speak on that because that's a point. That is an important point.
All right.
We don't know 3 months ago that the plan wasn't to 100% personally invest, but because of the adpocalypse that hit 3 months ago, he looked at it and, probably being a relatively smart human being, says, "Wait a second, YouTube's done. I can't, there's no way I can afford this on my own, so I'm not going to risk it. Let's see what let's see if the people want to get on board with that." And for you to say he's not risking something.
No, but this plan was in the making for 2 years already. He planned this a long time ago. And he knows
not all of it. There's been things that have been altered because of the situation with fucking SourceFed.
Yeah, but he was employed by Group 9, which employed SourceFed and
he merged. He actually, it was a merger that made him employed by SourceFed.
Exactly, and he cut himself loose about 2 years ago because he wanted to start his own. Well,
he was still an executive to the last day. He was there until the last day. I just looked that up.
Yeah, exactly. My theory is that he got fired along with SourceFed by Group 9. Thought about it and said, all right, fuck it, I'm going to start a Patreon and decide to fund my own stuff. But my issue is he doesn't need a Patreon, not at all. If you look at his Patreon subscribers, he got at least 100,000 per month right now, at least. Okay. And it's insane because this guy makes enough to make a living on shirt sales, on merch,
but that's an opinion. That's an opinion. You don't know his books, you don't know his numbers, and you don't know what his cost of creating what he creates now. He's got a relatively big team.
He's not a journalist, for fuck's sake.
But he just treats it that way. He's got better equipment than everybody else on the platform.
Well, he's professional, I'll give you that.
Yeah. Well, but you got to pay people a living wage if you're going to be doing this, especially where he fucking lives. You know, so the fact is he's got a team around him that he's not paying $20-$40 a show. He's paying money to. So he's got a far higher overhead than Keemstar.
Yeah, but he has employees for like 5 years now. It's the same 5 people. I've been watching them forever. And I understand he needs to pay them, and he needs to pay them a decent living wage. I
But
get
now
that.
he's building something more. He's hiring
No, he's
more
building
people.
another studio. He already had a studio. It's another.
Yes, he's
project.
building something new that can house something different. He's
Well,
not creating
explain
what
to me what exactly is different, because
I'm
the
just,
only thing
look,
is different.
all I can tell you is what he is saying at the moment. Now, if he's lying, which there's no indication that he is, then that's a different story. But what he's saying is he is building multiple studios where he can provide multiple different types of content. He's going to be bringing in new reporters, new interviewers, new workers, new types of content.
So he's finally going to start doing something.
It's you don't seem to have any facts. You just seem to have hatred. you know, I mean, like
it's like a combination of the two.
Well,
I
don't
guess.
donate. I mean, it's really that simple. Just don't donate to
Well,
it.
I gotta say, I missed the Tommy stream, so I don't have all the reasons.
That was something special.
I'm gonna watch it after this one.
It was special. Yeah, I wish I would have been there. I would have.
Oh, you missed it too?
No, I wish I would have actually been on the show.
Oh, okay.
But interesting stuff. Brace, I appreciate your unique take, but
all right. Well,
man,
I got more, but I'm gonna let you go, right?
Well, if you got more of him, what else you got? It sounds like it's gonna be more. I hate DeFranco.
Well, it's more hatred, and you already dismissed my hatred as basically
well, I'm not
pure
dismissing
opinion,
it. I'm
and
not
my
dismissing.
opinion is like not facts. So, well,
your opinion is well and good. Your own. I am not dismissing your opinion. I'm saying unless
well,
you
okay.
can...
Let me just boil it down to one sentence, and
Okay.
then you give your opinion, and then we're done.
Okay.
I don't. First of all, I don't trust the guy, and him starting like a news organization independently is like a great idea. I get it, but it's not going to be what he says it is. It's going to be the same thing he does right now, but he's going to get more money via Patreon, and it's just going to be like Jimmy Kimmel producing, interviewing people in the street. Like, did you know about this? All right, yeah. I don't see any huge difference. I just see an independent person who says, all right, YouTube is not going to pay me and I want to move to Twitch. Well, fuck it. Let's just start my own organization.
If
it's like
that is the case, if that is the case, if that can be proven that he's not using the funds for what he's saying that he's doing, he may not be held legally accountable, but his reputation's done. See,
well,
this is still just speculation. This is still just an opinion based off your personal opinion of the man.
No, even if he does do what I just told you, his reputation doesn't change because
it absolutely does. If it can be proven that he has misappropriated funds,
well, I've never said he misappropriated. I'm just gonna say he just needs more funds.
Well, now you're mincing words because you did make an accusation. Now you're walking it back.
About what? About what?
You think he's scummy and he's just gonna be creating another fucking YouTube channel and not give what he's saying he's going to be giving, which is creating an entire new conglomerate. He's creating a business. He's even said that. He's creating a corporation.
No. This guy created 5 businesses in the last 5 years.
Yes, he has.
It's not a new
but
business.
Not on
it's
his
just
own.
Business.
He's been part of mergers that have changed. He's learned from those entities and trying to do something different. That's the way I see
because he was sold by Discovery in Revision 3, and now he learned that the media can be a little bit harsh, so he wants to be independent, and that's fine.
And what's wrong with that?
Don't ask everybody for money because you can fund it easily yourself with merch.
Now that again, that's just an opinion that you don't know is true or not. You don't know.
That's an opinion based on 10 years of experience, though.
Yeah, but you can't find his money records. You don't know what he's worth.
That's true.
He's worth either somewhere, depending on who you believe, he's worth anywhere between $1 and $4 million. Now, he himself has refuted that he's not even worth $1 million. He did that last year. Now, that is on you if you want to believe that.
Now, I'm not saying his capital. I'm saying his income. His income is enough to sustain this.
You think.
I think.
It may not
yes, that's my personal opinion.
And that's fine. Don't donate. It's really that simple.
I won't.
There you go. All right, Bryce. Right. I appreciate it. You have a good night.
All right. See you, man. Good luck.
Take it easy. Let's bring in somebody who always is very well spoken and always has something to say. Don't worry, everybody who's in the Discord, I will get to you. I'm not going anywhere until I get to every one of you. Don't fucking leave. This show is yours. You've heard my big ass talk throughout the night. It's your show now. So don't leave. I'm going to get to you. I'm going to try to move some of the callers along a little bit faster. But the fact is we've had good callers. And we got another good one right now. Super Tobes. You're live with Dead on Dave. What you got?
How you doing, Dave? Okay, I'm a bit passionate about this because I think whoever is opposing Philip DeFranco is being ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the scope of what he's trying to do based on what he said. is, you know, an entire news network, so be it if it's on YouTube. He needs hosts, researchers, editors, cameramen, grips, producers, hair and makeup or visuals. He needs these things, you know, and he can't pay them from his actual money if he's not gonna make any money himself with the ad.
Right. He's still got to pay himself.
Yeah, exactly. And plus he has a family. He has two children now, or one is coming in the way, and he needs to pay for that himself. I think he disclosed the fact that he made about $200,000 a year after you know, paying everybody in his research team, but that was kind of before what he's going to do now.
Right.
Yeah, and there was, I have to say, when he had to sell SourceFed the first time, and the rights to his channel.
The 2013 merger.
I think so, yeah. He was about to get married as well, and he did have his first child, Trey, around the same time. So I could understand if he needed that, you know, the venture for monetary gain. At
the very least, like if he allowed that merger to happen, because he still took a post within both times the merger happened. He took a post with the new incoming parent company, for lack of a better word. So if he was doing that to not only keep SourceFed going, but improve his financial status, well, that's his prerogative. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to do that with this situation. There's no way of knowing that, especially when it's not, the money wasn't raised in the exact same way that it's going to be raised this time. It is a different situation. And now he's not just playing with some capital money, some corporate money. He's playing with people's money, the people that support him. Now, if he lets the people down that support him, well, then he doesn't have a support. Exactly. He doesn't have a support structure anymore. Nobody's going to take him seriously. No one's going to listen to him. Why would they? He fucked them.
Exactly. That's when he loses all credibility. He loses his career, and he loses all the money he could have gotten if he would have stuck to his fucking channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I just don't have it in me to tell anybody it's right for them to go on Patreon. No matter who it is. I don't give a shit. If there is a millionaire who doesn't want to invest the money that they have made in other companies into a new venture, so they go crowdsource, and people believe in this new product and they want to support that publicly, who am I to fucking tell not only that creator, but the people who are deciding to donate them not to do it? That is their situation. That is not for me to fucking judge.
Exactly.
I don't know their wallets.
This is why I got really mad when Keemstar brought up, "Oh, are you gonna ask the guy who you know works at Subway to donate to you to build a channel?" And I was like, "Yeah, if he believes in that shit and he has the money to actually, you know, give out, then yes, then there's nothing, morally wrong with it."
Right. Now, I want to address two things in the chat real quick. One, Thumper says they would follow him even if this doesn't happen. Come on, Dave. Look. The reality is, if 10,000 people are let down and feel that they got robbed by Phil DeFranco, they're not going to follow him. Why would, unless there's a completely reasonable reason as to why it happened, then they might. But if he robs 10,000 people, well, then no, they're not going to follow him. And Brace, what he says, I just don't see this as a new adventure. I see this as an extension of trying to get rid of Group 9. That very well may be, but that's not what he's selling. So because he's selling something different, because he is telling people that something different is going to be given, well, he has to adhere to that. That's what he's going to have to produce. So time's going to tell.
Exactly. Time is going to tell. And didn't he buy the rights to his channel back?
Yeah, he had to buy his own goddamn name back. Yes, which cost money.
Exactly. So it's nothing to do with Group 9 at the end of the day. It's just this is obviously his passion project. He's been talking about this for years, and now that with the age of quote unquote fake news, that's the opportune time to create this. And not only is this a really good business decision, but it's like really more like he can take the moral high ground in any situation right now, and it'll be his right because
yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying, man. Look, I want to get some other calls. I appreciate your call tonight, Super Tubs, as always, dude. Good shit.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
You have a good night, buddy. Let's bring in Dave's sweaty jockstrap. You're live with Dead on Dave. What you got?
Hello, Dave. Thank you for having me on.
I always like to have my jockstrap on. I appreciate it. And it's sweaty. Come on, I got to have you on. What's up, pal?
Okay, so I've actually sorry. I haven't actually like been on in a while because I've been busy with personal life, but it's nice to be back.
Hopefully you're okay and your dick didn't fall off. As long as your dick did not fall off, correct?
It's still an appendage, yes.
Then we're good. Everything else is fixable. As long as the dick stays on, you're fine. Everything else, unless you wanted it to be off and you wanted a vagina, but that's a different story for another day. What do you got for me, buddy?
Frankly, I know we've been talking about Philly D for a good portion of the day, but I mean, whenever you think about it, like, remember back when the election day, like, you know, how much money they were spending on advertising alone? Like, I looked up some numbers, and apparently Hillary Clinton paid for about $6 million in a 12-day period.
Sure.
Now, if you take that into account, plus the multiple ads and different channels, you know, one could argue, well, if someone's going to start a new news channel, either they're going to be subjected to being a proctorate of another news network, or, you know, they're not going to survive on their own.
Right.
And considering how new media and old media are collaborating in a sense with what Philly D is doing, I'm guessing that possibly old media like CNN and all that, they will do whatever they can in their power to try to shut them down.
Very well could. Very well could.
Because like that's the thing I didn't agree with Clown at all about, like, because whenever he was on Twitter saying, oh, he doesn't need it. Okay, yeah, sure, he doesn't need personal money, but this is like to fund people. This is to fund a job. This is to fund a network. He wants to get an actual TV network. So it's just like, you know, if he ever
I think the blanket statement, he doesn't need it, is just a personal opinion on what you feel about personal wealth. That, by the way, you don't know of the person that you're talking about. It's only speculation. That's my biggest problem with this. Even what Keem was saying, all of it was speculation. There was nothing cold, hard facts that was, even with the Maker 9 or Maker Studios and everything else with SourceFed, even that is unbelievably ambiguous. The fact that he had to buy his own fucking name rights back kind of tells you that there was some shit going on that we simply don't understand.
Exactly. Like, there's just so many things that we probably don't even know about. I bet you he has to, like, you know, pay for his rights for advertising or something like that. Because, like, you know, there's a lot of Machinima shows that Rooster Teeth did.
I'm Machinima. I'm with Machinima.
I know.
They hate me. They don't like me at all. I'm sure of it. They hate me.
But like that's the thing with like things like, you know, Rooster Teeth now has their own studio, but I'm pretty sure they had to do some deal with Machinima to get their rights to their, you know, their characters again. Sure. And it's just like, so like I'm imagining that's not only does Philly D have to do, but you know, he also has to approve for patents and all that shit for his t-shirts and all that, you know, dumb shit.
And he's got to pay a staff. People are speculating on how many people that he's hiring, but we don't know.
Full-time
people. So it's just going to see what happens. We're going to have to find out exactly what he creates. And hopefully, since a guy like Phil DeFranco is constantly talking about transparency, that's exactly what we're going to get. That's what I'm expecting. And that's what look, the one criticism that I really cannot fight back on is, why isn't he showing exactly how much money he's made on Patreon? Maybe he should. But if he does that, that's leverage that outside sources can use against him, either to paint him in a negative light or to say, well, you simply don't need any more.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I was thinking. Like, well, it could be a twofold reason, a double-edged sword, you know? You don't show how much you're making on Patreon. Well, that also could give incentive to viewers to donate more.
Exactly.
But there's the other side of the double-edged sword that he can use in his defense is also, people will just criticize me for it, and that's not the objective. I don't want people to be bashed for donating like on their
Right.
free will. It's not like, oh, I will be exclusively on television or on my own YouTube network and you cannot see this. It's just like he does offer some semblance of rewards, like, you get to see this in a month in advance and blah blah blah,
Yeah, what Mega John just said in the chat, we are all working off speculation both ways. 100%
Yes.
correct. I think that I'm looking at a little bit more of a factual to base what I feel, but that's perception. You're always going to feel like you're looking
Exactly.
at it from the most factual point. I may not be, but based off the things that I have read and just my personal opinion towards Philly D and what he does, I tend to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not saying that he can't fail. This is a hard venture. It's probably going to fail. But
they'll probably turn on him because he's new.
Right. He has I think that he can make a go of it. Let's see what happens. And if it fails, he's got to fucking pay for it. He's one way or another, he is going to answer for it. Because let me tell you, the commenters here on YouTube will never fucking let him live it down. It will get ugly.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Keemstar's, a dirty rat meme and so many others I would love to say on the air, but
Well, good stuff, man. You got anything else that you want to say before I get you out of here? My jockstrap, my big, sweaty jockstrap.
No, I think I've made my point. I feel like
good stuff.
No need to delay.
Well, over the top rope you go. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too.
Good stuff. Ox. Is that Lucille? Yes, it is. It is Lucille. And this is a scouter. And those are some Adventure Time swords. And this is fucking Gizmo. This is what I'm subjected to, Dave. This is what I'm subjected to. I used to be America's sweetheart. And now I'm just your fucking puppet. Howie Mandel used to do my voice. And now you fat fuck, you do my voice. Gizmo's here. There you go. All right. Hey, since I have you guys here, and I am a shill at the end of the day, and this is probably the reason why I don't really have a problem with anything that Philly D is doing. Do you guys like wrestling? Are you in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Europe? Do you like monthly subscription boxes? Well, I'm partnered with WrestleCrate.co.uk. And let me tell you, if you go over and you sign up and you use promo code DeadOnDave before May 12th, you're not only going to save 10%, but you're also going to get an item from this man. Woohoo! That's right. That is the one and only Kenny Omega. That's what I'm talking about. Kenny Omega. Use promo code DeadOnDave to save 10% at WrestleCrate.co.uk. The link is in the description box. Sign up. You can also donate to the channel to support the channel directly, but that's another way that you can help us out here at Dead on Dave Productions, as well as hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, does that make me evil, what I just did? Am I begging? That's up to you to decide. That's up to you to decide. So there you go. Drummer 828, god awful music. Dave, hit me up. I'll hook you up with some better stuff. It wasn't my promo. WrestleCrate made that shit. All right, let's get through these last couple of callers here. Darius R., you're live with Dead on Dave. We're going to make it quick. What do you got?
Okay, crap. I need to mute your stream. All right. So I wish you would have put me on with Brace, because that would have been hilarious. I would have ripped him a new one.
I
Anyways,
handled him pretty well.
Yeah. All right. The whole thing where people are saying he'd only be able to benefit from it if he pulled out. Boy,
that's bullshit.
If he pulled out, and it'd be career suicide. Literally, like everyone on their dog on YouTube would be launching a video on it and criticizing him. And everything that he's been working for like the past 10 years, poof, gone.
Yeah.
Lost like, I don't know, 300k subscribers and way less views. It just wouldn't make any sense, especially when everything's down in the dumps in YouTube. Like, plus when Keemstar was like, it could be like another one of his networks where he just puts other people on and he has nothing with it and he just off. He stated in the video like what he's selling, that he might go on it to provide his speculation.
Yeah.
But it's going to be other newscasters and like new
he's
faces.
going to have multiple people. It's not just going to be him, and
Yeah.
he's still going to be doing the Phil DeFranco show, but he also stated this new news entity is going to be something different. It's not even going to be under the Phil DeFranco banner. It's a new corporation that he's going to be putting together. So, look, if you believe him, you're going to donate to him. If you believe in what he's telling you, if he's going to lead you to the promised land, then you're going to donate. If you don't, then you're not. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to tell everybody who's criticizing Phil to shut up, because they have every right to criticize him. I just think they're wrong. Personally, for me, I feel it's completely okay for Phil to do it.
Everybody that thinks he's a scumbag and he's going to do it, if you're right, you'll get the last laugh.
Oh, yeah.
But,
oh, yes, you will.
Like, it's unlikely.
Reputation is currency in this format. Reputation is your currency. It's not just about subs. It's not just about likes. It is about trust level. It's very, very important. If there is anybody who should understand that, that is Killer Keemstar. If anybody should understand the importance of reputation, it should be him. Why am I still getting hate? I fucking wonder. All right, Darius, I'm going to try to run through the rest of these callers. You have a good night, buddy.
Yep. Have a good one.
Thanks a lot, pal. Good call, good call, good call. Let's go to Kanksilo. You're live with Dead on Dave. What you got?
What's up, man?
What's cracking, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm just gonna probably, cycle through a bunch of stuff that's already said, because I'm definitely thoroughly on the side of Philly D right now.
Sweet.
But I felt like I need to jump on and clear some stuff up, because I've been lurking in the chat. A lot of people are saying, like, why didn't he just go with investors? Why didn't he, not use his fans as a form of funding? And like, I think that's really shows to me that they didn't watch the video, because he explains why he doesn't want to be beholden to his funding. He doesn't really want to, I mean, apart from the viewer, of course, because he wants to deliver a good piece of content no matter what. But he doesn't want to be like, the horror stories you hear about these big organizations like Maker Studios.
Hell, he's lived
there's
through
other
it
ones
already.
I can't remember.
He's just gone through a corporate nightmare. He's just gone through a corporate nightmare, 2 mergers of his own doing. He knows what type of hassle that can become. So in this case, maybe he feels that with the responsibility of being crowdfunded, that won't happen. And he's gambling. It's a gamble. It's a risk. But it may not be wrong. We don't know.
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a lot of speculation.
Sure.
But something else that annoyed me, people saying that they don't, he's not putting any of his own, weight behind it. He's not investing into his own project. He is. He said it in the video. He is putting his money behind it. He's bought himself a new, office, studio, whatever. He's hiring people. He's probably, in my opinion, I think he's probably going to hire all the staff of SourceFed. I'd be surprised if at least some
more
of
than
them
likely.
didn't reappear.
I would guess. It makes a lot of sense. He trusts them. He knows them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And he's already got stuff. I mean, it's not like these people that run, the behind the scenes. He doesn't edit his videos. He doesn't record stuff on the Philly D channel. He doesn't do a lot of this stuff. He has still got people that he's hiring right now, and he's just trying to expand. He wants to expand. It's not like he's, milking all of his fans out of their money. It just screams of entitlement to me. He's providing free. He's providing free entertainment content, news, whatever you want to use it like.
Yeah, do
It's
we
all
forget,
free.
Do we
People
forget that
use
YouTube
ad
is
blocks.
free? Do we forget that? Do we forget that
I think people
YouTube is
do.
free?
I think in this new
And-
age of the internet, people forget that you have to pay for TV. TV
Right.
costs money.
And do we
You know,
also
like people
not
pay
forget,
for gaming subscriptions.
do we also forget that I think the last time that there was a census of how many people actually use ad block, it was well over 50%. You know, like
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean,
the
I use
last
it.
time that I read. I use it too, depending on who I'm watching. And I feel
Yeah,
dirty
absolutely. I
sometimes,
mean,
but yeah.
Yeah,
I turn it off for certain
it's
people.
just something that people do.
Yeah.
It's understood at this
Sure.
point.
Sure. I
But-
don't use it anymore. I used to use it, but ever since my monetization got
Right.
turned back on, I actually turned it off completely.
I
But-
use it specifically on websites that have those pop-up ads or those ones that
Right.
play noise. Bugs me
those
a
are
lot.
annoying.
I generally don't use it on YouTube, mainly because I watch YouTube on my phone. Can't get it on there as far as I know.
Rebs just donated $5. Who is this Dave guy? Heart thing. Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you for your donation. Oh, I'm an
Right, yeah,
awful
but I'm-
person. I'm getting donations. Help me. Save me.
Oh,
I'm
chill,
awful.
chill. No, I'm glad that this is sort of coming into the light though. It's surprising me that it's become a big thing, but I'm glad that it is because it shows that Phil has an audience. It shows that he's actually spreading his reach with this.
Yeah.
I mean, like for the first time I've seen in such a long time, he hit the top of RL on Reddit.
Yeah.
That's insane with the announcement video, just the announcement video. So you can imagine that he's getting so many people just from that hitting RL. They're going back, they're watching his videos, they're thinking, oh, this is unbiased news sources. I've been using Reddit this whole time and I had no idea.
Right.
Yeah, it screams of like the naysayers to it. It screams of like a combination of entitlement and just not really understanding how business works. He's not trying to make a quick buck and run. He's trying to make a sustainable source of revenue.
That's at least what he's selling. That's what he is showing what he's trying to do. He's trying to kick in doors and trying to do stuff that hasn't been done before. I applaud him for that. And it bothers me that we root against each other so much on YouTube. And because why? Because they're competitors? I don't get that. They're not Philly D really doesn't have a competitor on YouTube. Philly D's got
he's the closest thing is Scarce and such, but that's very relegated to
he's
drama.
only at 3 million subs compared to 5.5 million subs. There's a big jump there. Scarce gets hundreds of thousands of views. Philly D gets millions of views. It's a different fucking stratosphere. And that's not a knock against Scarce. It's not.
No.
It's just a reality of its different forms of entertainment. You do not go to Scarce to get informed. You go to Scarce because you either find him likable, quirky, weird, or whatever, and it gets you on the path where you find out more information. Keemstar, you don't go to Keemstar to get all the information. You go because he's a fucking walking train wreck. You don't know what he's going to say. You don't know how he's going to present stuff. You know that he is going to be masturbating to the misery of others, and that's what you enjoy. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, and that even sort of applies to Phil DeFranco, but that's what he wants to change with this news network. He wants to spread out. He wants to make it more accessible. He wants to make it more objective.
Yeah, sure.
And he's already doing a good job of that. But he wants to do better. And I think that's the important part. He wants to do better. He doesn't want to, like, obviously it probably comes into it, but I don't think he's doing it for the money. I think he's doing it because it's his passion. I think he's doing it because he actually wants to make a difference. And I don't think he's pandering. Like, that's ridiculous.
I hate that term. I hate where that's gone. The fact is, he is taking the biggest risk of his life with not only his money, but his viewers' money. And it's risky. So we'll see if
it's risky. I'll admit it. It's very dangerous for him when if it doesn't come through, you've got to be insane to think that he won't lose the majority of his base.
Right.
At the very least, the people who donated are never going to touch him again. And every time they hear about him, they're going to go like, "Oh, that guy took my money and ran away with it." You know?
That's who he becomes. That's who he is at that point. Yep.
I mean, nobody's going to forget. Keemstar's drama. Nobody's going to forget that.
We'll see. All right, man. Hey, I appreciate that.
And this is on a way bigger scale.
Well, I appreciate the call, buddy.
All right, yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm going to try to get to these last callers, and I'm going to get out of here because it's 11:11 at night, and I'm tired.
Yeah, 5:11 a.m. down here in Australia.
Oh, you fucking savage. You go have sex with a kangaroo, buddy. Go fuck one for me, okay? You go find one with big jubbly. Don't get one of those muscular ones. They're going to end up having sex with you. You find one that looks like me, like fat and can barely hop, and you fuck that thing. You fuck that kangaroo, all right?
All right, man.
Have a good night.
Give it a shot. All right, you too, man. See you.
He was like, that's the weirdest thing anybody's ever said to me. Did he just tell me to go fuck a kangaroo? Yes, I did. Let's bring in my good buddy, the artiste of artiste, the creative visionary behind all of the graphics that you see on Catch 33 and his own amazing channel, The Lord Vega. It's The Lord fucking Vega. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? Yo, I just got back on. What'd I miss?
Well, let me recap
why this turned into a shit show, huh?
Right? It's fucking crazy, man. Did you see what happened with Tommy earlier?
Dude, I was in the truck and I just had to bounce from one thing. I heard Keemstar on there and him going at it, and I was like, I can't believe I'm gonna miss this, and I had to get off. And I saw you were live, so I was like, fuck it, let me hop over here.
Let me tell you what you missed. Tommy starts the show and he goes fucking ballistic. He like. Even for, I was worried about him. I thought he was going to have a fucking heart attack. It was like, woo, like Al Pacino type fucking rage levels. It was incredible.
Wow.
Keemstar calls in and gives a very speculative, like he's prone to doing, take on the situation. He's calm. He's he's very courteous. He's nice. He's not cussing at Tommy or anything like that. But he gives a very persuasive, but very, very speculative view of what happened. And Tommy kind of folded.
No shit.
Yeah,
he backed down, huh?
He did.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there in the chat. I'm like screaming, no, because there was so much of what Keem was saying was speculative. And it's like, I'm not even saying that it was 100% wrong, but it certainly wasn't 100% right. And I don't think it took away from what Tommy was saying. But I think because how Keem presented it, it took all of the wind out of Tommy. He didn't know how to, he was expecting Keem to fight with him because Tommy was calling him a whole bunch of names. And when Keem didn't do that, I think Tommy just kind of, he lost his bullocks, as they say in England.
Yeah, from what I saw, it sounded like, I don't know if he started getting riled up later, but from what I saw, Keem sounded like he was a little bit more calm, kind of. I think he was like, yo, Tommy, relax. Listen, I'm trying to tell you something. And I'm like, what's going on? And I had to get out of the truck. So I just said, fuck, I gotta go. So I cut it off from there. I'll rewatch it after this, but
it's the beginning of Baited reforming. I think that's what we saw. Baited's getting back together. Confirmed.
Yeah, what a great show that would make. Huh?
And then, you know what even made it better? Fucking, I go on the show afterwards because I tried to add a little bit of, filled in some of the ambiguity that Keem was spouting. And I'm not even sure if I'm 100% right, but that was the point. There's everything that is about Phil DeFranco with his finances in the past. There are no hard facts. It's all ambiguous. All of it. All of it. Even the mergers.
Okay, so let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Say, okay, let me do a contrast, right? So, because I was convinced to do a Patreon, yet I won't do it. I feel like I need more content in order for me to actually justify people being like, okay, you know what? If we get more equipment and all this, it's a difference, right? But I think if, say, for example, to justify something like fan funding and everything like that, I do think you should be telling people where that money is going. So what's wrong with?
Well, he did.
Yeah, I'm not saying verbally.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you're coming out and I want to see where this money's going. Don't do me a tour around the fucking offices, right? So if we as people are saying investors or people that are supporting someone, and that's fine if people don't give a fuck, they just want to give money. Right. You know, as far as I'm concerned, he deserves the money. Sure. If he's going to go out, and that's like a movement. That's not just a project, it's a movement.
Oh, absolutely. It's a worthy cause.
It is. And the question that I have, not question, but to clarify on Twitter when I wrote that was just, I don't know what the fuck people are bickering. I think people are confused at each other.
Right.
People are thinking people are jealous. Other people are thinking Philly's trying to scam them. I think the real question was, does Philly need to ask his fans in order to provide him for his project the way it's coming out on what he wants to do? Do you need to turn to fans? Is he a millionaire? The question is, you got people like Elvis and all these guys that need Patreon, In the end, it's your money. If you want to give him the fucking money, give him the money. If
It's
you
a
don't,
very
don't give him the
subjective.
money.
It's a very subjective question. Not only for the
Yeah.
person who is donating, but for the person who has decided to create the Patreon. Like you find yourself struggling with it. I believe that Philly D probably had to struggle with this decision, and do not think for a second that the adpocalypse probably wasn't the last straw that said, you know what, I have got to get a little bit of extra help. I don't want to go to corporate route for a whole bunch of reasons, not only for the situation that he had just got out of himself, but because he doesn't want his creativity or his bias to be questioned or skewed in any way. So he goes to the people, and it's a gutsy fucking move to do, because if it fails, he's done.
Can we admit this? Can we admit this? That on both sides of the fucking aisle, there are excellent points. If you go on the thing,
well,
if you go on the side of where you're saying, Philly's trying to start this and start that, how many people in the real world, we're not talking about YouTube, which would be a great point on the other end of the spectrum, but excluding that, say, you know how many people get a loan in order to start something?
Very true.
But there's interest, there's pay, there's all this shit, accountability. The bank's not going to come in and say, we need you to make this. They want to know if their return on investment is going to be worthy enough for them to actually give you this loan. Like he is no stranger to corporations.
Oh,
like
sure.
It sounds like he's building one. So
yeah,
why not go that route? Why go to the fans? That there's a lot of ways he could have went about
probably
this.
Because he had the option. Maybe the way he's selling it, he wanted people to come on this journey with him, and I'm sure it's not as simple as that, because it never is. But again, he could have gone that route, but maybe it was more risk that he was willing to take. And if that's unseemly for you, and you don't personally think that that is something that he should have necessarily done, if you have a problem with that ideology, well, then quite simply, you don't donate and you move the fuck on. I
think it would be a great, to me, like if I were to personally do one, I would treat it as if, okay, these guys are supporting me through here. I'm not just going to sign a poster and do whatever you want for your Patreon. Go for it. I fucking wish you the best of luck. I hope you succeed in life and everything works out. But for me, I think that would eat away at me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These people are putting food on my table. Granted, I'm giving them what they want, but I still feel fucked up about it. So why don't I show them what I'm actually doing? I would literally give a report. Hey,
maybe that's exactly what he's going to do. Maybe that's exactly what he's going to do.
That would actually shit on everybody's face if he came out with a report for all of his Patreon. Nobody else deserves it.
Yeah.
But for his Patreons, he would say, "Listen, today we got the studio built. They originally charged us $20,000. We got them down to $5,000. So we were able to get a discount. We have these new red cameras, or we have this, we have that." At that point, there is no question. The guy is fucking busting his dick for his Patreons and everybody else he's providing the content for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways that he's probably planning on justifying it and just doesn't feel like he needs to.
Well,
at
considering he always talks about transparency, he has to. He always is talking about transparency. He talks about it constantly. I don't know if he goes an episode without using the fucking word. He's always talking about transparency, so he has to. He has to fucking put this out there. And if he doesn't,
100%,
he's got to get called out for it. And he will. I do believe he will, by a lot of people. Here's a point.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. The last thing that I want to say as far as the donations go, I think that the way you were saying that it would eat at you as a man, and maybe that's what's going to be pushing him to succeed. I don't know.
Perfect. Everybody has a different fuel. Everybody has a different fuel. To me, I want to make the best content, but once you add in actual people with real money, because we're just thinking, oh, these people just have this money. People are busting their ass, and they're willing to separate themselves from what they just worked, 2 hours to donate to Philly in the hopes that this movement will work. We're tired of the bullshit news. We're tired of getting fed false information. Philly D, if any news network online deserves some money out of your pocket in order for you to get that news, it's Philly D.
You seem very conflicted here. You seem very conflicted on this.
I am, because I personally feel like this man should, and I think he's capable of doing it. I think he's just rushing in. I feel he should, but I would prefer at least a couple of episodes, or what is it, streams, however he's going to present it, a couple of those first, so we understand what the fuck we're getting into. Because if I'm paying for the Philly D show, turn on that little fucking subscribe button. Hey guys, $10 for you to watch my episodes, okay?
Right.
Then eliminate Patreon. You know what I'm saying? It's a subscription on YouTube. Same shit. Whatever the difference is, eliminate that difference by upcharging.
There's
plenty of different options.
Oh, there's a hell of a lot of options. I think that Patreon is one of the easiest ones to do, and probably from a already, like, if you start charging people for other content on YouTube, you're risking alienating your core subscriber base. If you put it on Patreon, you go to public funding, only the people that believe in your cause, believe in what you're selling, is going to get involved. So you're only risking that demographic. So maybe it is a compartmentalization tactic. I don't know his motivations. All I can say is I don't have a problem with it personally, because I can't get there. I can't damn him for it, because I don't know his situation enough. I don't know how much he had to pay to buy his own naming rights back. I don't know what legal situations he had to go
you're
through.
completely right.
Both of those two mergers he went through with fucking SourceFed. I don't know what personal and private and fucking financial shit he had to go through that he simply doesn't want to go through again. Maybe he's been through stuff with banks and other ways of making money, getting loans and such, that he doesn't want to go through that avenue again. He's built up this fan base that is willing to support him. So did he take advantage of that? Yeah. Yeah. But if he creates jobs, if he creates a new medium, if he bridges the gap between YouTube and fucking mainstream media, we're not talking about just Philly D. We're talking about Philip fucking DeFranco, the guy who changed media. This is a very big and very worthwhile venture that I think he's attempting, if that's what he's doing.
Yeah, for sure. I would say this. I said this in DMs, but like right before I hopped in here, so I might as well just say it now. I think just in this community specifically, there's this back and forth, and sometimes it looks like some people that have Patreon are almost using this as a way to cement their Patreon.
Right.
Sometimes I see that in the actual responses. Oh, you're only saying that because you got a Patreon too. You know, like you know what I'm saying? And other people that don't have a Patreon seem like they have this just cause.
You know what's funny? You know what's really funny? I have a Patreon, but I hate it.
I didn't even know that.
I stopped marketing it. I started advertising. I stopped it. I don't use it. I've gone to one Patreon because it was unseemly for me. For me personally, I didn't like the way it made me feel because I didn't like being the monthly thing. I didn't like having the perks because I ignored it a little too much. And I felt that taking the donations directly was a little bit of an easier thing to keep track of. So it's kind of funny that it runs counter to my own personal experience of Patreon, how I feel about Philly D doing it. It's kind of weird. Maybe I'm full of shit. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like sometimes the appearance makes it, because there's like little to no struggle there as far as like people question it. And of course you get clown and then you got Keem, which believe it or not, in my opinion, I think he does have a leg to stand on, because you're talking about another guy that is very wealthy that can look you in the face and tell you, if Keemstar started a Patreon, that would almost be like, oh, of course, this fucking,
but he's
whatever.
Also, he doesn't have the reputation that Philly D does.
No, of course not. But I'm just
that
saying,
does matter. That does matter. The reputation
does matter. Now I would say this, like as far as like production value and stuff like this, like that. Like, if you have a team and you are going to do 24 hours, I think you're pretty justified in that. But if people are paying for a Philip DeFranco show, no changes, maybe a couple of additional graphics and 5 more minutes tacked on,
I'll be the first to damn him. That's what I think. First to damn him.
The thing, this community, just to finish off this point, this community to me not only has built that kind of reputation on, if they see bullshit, they smell bullshit, they call bullshit.
Sure.
So when Clown says, why does he get a pass? He's not saying you're a piece of shit because you have a Patreon.
Right.
He's not saying Philly D is a piece of shit. He actually likes Philly D.
He does.
Why he's saying that is to push that opinion out there as to, let me get this straight. A wealthy man needs to turn to his fans in order to fund this project. Why? That's the question.
Sure.
Like the question isn't whether or not Philly D is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
He sold his company. Okay, cool. He's a businessman that made a few million, however much he made going with Discovery. It didn't really work out. Shit started going to hell. Now he's turning to his fans for whatever reason. The question is why, bro? We love you. We respect you. We look up to you. We admire you. Just tell us why.
Right.
You know, and if he said it in his video, that's great.
I think he's done a good job of being transparent about it so far. I do, at least for me. And it always comes down to it's going to come down to the simple question. Does it bother you that he's doing it? For someone like Clown, it absolutely does. He doesn't feel that a guy who has made as much money as he has needs to have a Patreon. Me, it doesn't bother me because I've seen this in other forms of entertainment and business ventures. There are other Kickstarter programs where other successful entrepreneurs have created something separate so they don't tap into the money. You don't risk your money from another entity to start something new all the time, especially if it's risky. So, you know, it's all situational.
Yeah, but then again, you're creeping back into, you know, we're thinking corporate level. So then get your ass on the corporate level and go get your ass alone.
Yep.
Johnny B that started his fucking mechanic job because on hopes and dreams to put food on the table for his family got a loan. You know what I mean?
No.
So
and I think that's that's something that should be taken into consideration. And I'm sure that Philly D did. I'm sure Philly and his wife sat down and looked at every option available. I don't look at Phil as a guy who just does stuff. You know,
hey, bro, believe me, I'm with you, man. Yeah. I think I am with you. What I'm saying,
you bring up a hell of a fucking discussion, though. Let me tell you, Vega, you bring up a hell of a discussion.
This community, one thing I did love about this community that kind of strayed away and kind of just is right now, it's what's new, what's hot because of all this shit going on with YouTube. People need to make a buck just to stay alive. So it's almost like, oh, what do we do? What it used to be, to me anyway, was guys actually raising the questions. You know what I'm saying? That where a fan would look at something and be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll go learn how to talk to girl. I'll go pay that money. You know, and then a guy dissects this entire channel and then that, you know, $23 plus $25 tax or additional charges was saved because he ran into H3H3.
You think he also picked the wrong time? And this is we'll close it on this because I want to get to these last callers and then get out of here.
Go for it. Yeah, my bad. I'm taking it.
No, you're good. No, Vega. My God, are you kidding me? You just gave me the best fucking discussion I could have possibly fucking had. My God, go. If you're not subbed to this man, what the hell's the matter with you? Holy shit! Do you not hear the words coming out of his mouth? He's amazing.
New content coming soon.
But let me ask you this, because I think it's important. Do you think the timing has a lot to do with the backlash that he's getting? Because everybody's flooding the Patreon because of the exact overreaction that we're talking about. And that maybe not even overreaction, but the reaction to the adpocalypse. Everyone's getting a Patreon, and there's all kinds of a judgment war on who's warranted and who's not warranted to do it. Does the timing of this really work against Philly D? Because if he does this a year ago, or maybe a year in the future, when things have kind of normalized, if they do, some people don't think they will, and maybe they won't. Is it less of a backlash, or is it always going to be the same because he's a millionaire and he simply doesn't need it?
I think it'll always be an issue, but I would personally say it works in his favor because of the adpocalypse. Because not only the point that I think is a good point to get rid of all middlemen and just work with your Patreons gives people that incentive to be like, you know what, fuck this. Yeah, the ads, he's not making any money, yada, yada, yada. Let's do it. Again, we don't have access to his analytics.
Right.
You know, so we don't know because, you know, Cast 33, for example, or other channels are hardly affected.
Right.
You know, we don't upload that much, so we might not be on the radar.
So we don't know.
There's a lot of factors we don't know. There's a lot of people.
We haven't uploaded since the adpocalypse either.
Yeah, and also there's other channels when you look at like tutorials and stuff, like people actually stop what they're doing and they say, hey, listen, we know all this stuff's going around and we know we've seen the comments. We know you guys want us to talk about it, and we don't see any effect.
Right.
So it might be these channels, I don't know. They recognize this community, they just don't talk about this community.
No.
So this adpocalypse thing might be a little tinfoil hat if all these other channels, which I watch, actually stop what they're doing and say, hey, we're fine. We don't need any, donations or anything. Like, we're good. Like we have no issues with ads. Our stuff's actually doing better monetarily.
There's not a lot of them though.
There's not, but I'm saying I don't know who's talking about it, who's not, compared to how much YouTube I consume.
All I know, I think, like from my personal dealings with it, because I've ventured into different realms. I do video games, I do some commentary stuff, but the crux of what I do is wrestling, and I'm very in the community, and they're crippled. The wrestling community has been crippled by this.
Oh, by this whole thing?
Oh,
Wow.
absolutely fucking crippled. It's awful. I have friends who run promotions that are losing everything right now. So it is affecting people, and nobody can figure out why wrestling community has been affected. But I ain't making shit anymore. Like nothing. I did on over WrestleMania weekend, I did damn near 80,000 views. I made 17 cents or something insane like that. It's ridiculous. And I got friends who are losing everything right now, and it's awful. It really sucks.
Yeah.
So
fuck, man, that sucks, dude. Just sucks to hear. Yeah, I mean, to finish off from me, from my personal perspective, I fucking hope this whole thing turns into a movement. Philly D, do whatever the fuck you want. You know what I mean? As far as Patreons, there's a lot of people out there with Patreons that aren't doing shit for their patrons.
Right.
And like literally not doing a fucking thing. You want to see one? I like the guy kind of, but look at Grade A. Name me
shit,
I'd love to see
he's
it.
Dropping fire. Vegas
I'd
calling
like to
out
see-
Grade.
I like to see. Well, I'm not, like I said, I mean, I like the dude's content, you know, but I'm just saying, if you're fucking over people that are giving you money, fuck
Right.
you. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? If you have a Patreon or a patron that can come forward and be like, yo, you know what? I ain't got shit. You know, I've been paying this dude's bills and all this shit. I got nothing.
And
That'd be
I
different.
think ultimately time is going to tell with this Philly D situation. If he
Yeah,
failed
you're right.
his patrons or if he succeeded where he went to go, that time is going to tell. There's no way around it. If he flips this company and gets out of it, that's a fuck you to everybody who supported him. And he will not live that down. It's
True.
over for him. He seems to want to create something. That seems legitimate. He wants to do something that hasn't been done. And that's where I am basing a lot of my own personal, if I feel this is right or wrong. It's how I personally feel about what he is saying. And
For sure.
that's all I can do. So, but Vega, my God, brother, you're amazing. You're fucking you
appreciate it, man.
you did the best Philly D impression anybody did because you went to both sides and you gave facts, opinion. Boom, fantastic job, my friend.
For sure. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, brother. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll be getting together on Catch 33 very soon.
Yeah, I think we got a day too to record, but we're not going to say shit because we agreed not to say
We
shit.
ain't saying shit.
So you get it when you get it.
That's
We're
right.
trying to do the same thing except without Patreons. So there you go.
Exactly.
All
Let
right,
me get to
man.
these
Thank you
last
for
callers,
having me
brother.
on.
I'll talk to you later.
Later, man.
Man, Vega, damn. Straight fire. Good shit. Let's get to these last callers and we're going to get up out of here. Let's start with Landlogger. What you got? Sorry for the long wait. What do you got for us? You're live with Dead on Dave.
Oh, no problem. Vega touched on a big thing that I want to talk about, which was transparency with this. And basically, like, I don't see how this doesn't end up in a lose-lose situation. For Phil.
Really?
I don't see. I don't really see how, like, because I think there's no way that he's gonna be able to sustain it, like a channel, without bringing in outside advertisers or something like that.
Well,
I think he's gonna
advertising
end up with-
isn't the same as bringing in investors. That's a different thing altogether. Bringing in sponsorships and such that are backing him from a sponsorship level, but not having any say or control over his content, that's a different thing than having full-on investors that have a say into his company. That's a different thing.
No, you're completely correct. But I mean, if this whole YouTube adpocalypse has taught anybody anything, is that if people don't like the way you're doing, you know, running your channel, like doing
They'll
a
pull.
news show, like they're gonna go after. Yeah, they're gonna pull it. And then where's he gonna go from there? It's either gonna be more crowdfunding, or he bites the bullet and does what he didn't want to do to begin with, and go.
But for
to a
that reason
corporation.
that you just stated might be the entire reason why he went crowdfunding in to begin with, because this way he's only going with people who are supporting him from the jump. He doesn't have to worry about an advertiser who has corporate money that could pull because he says cunt on one of his shows. He doesn't have to worry about that because the people who are supporting him already know who he is. So maybe that's part of his decision making.
And maybe a Patreon will be kind of like a de facto subscription, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it should be.
But
it absolutely fucking should be. My God.
I just can't see it being as steady as you want it to be.
I hope the best for him, but you're probably right. This is what he's attempting to do. If it is what he's saying it is, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be an uphill battle. But let me tell you, if there is anybody on this platform who can do it, who has the connections, who knows the right people, and who has the content, it's Philly D.
Yeah.
So
well, I completely support him. I just want to come out and say that. Like, I don't care if he's got a Patreon. He can have 35 Patreons.
Right.
He can make his kid a Patreon for all I care. You know
Well,
what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's
Hey, I
people who-
appreciate the opinion, brother.
Yep. All right, man.
Have a good
Thanks
night,
for
man.
letting me call.
No problem. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for waiting, by the way. Let's bring in another guy who's been waiting an awfully long time. Wooly One, thanks for hanging out, man. Sorry for the long wait, but like I said, I was going to
No
get
worries.
to everybody. What you got for me, buddy? You're live with Dead on Dave.
All right, so I was talking in the chat for a long time with a bunch of different people, and I think one thing that is concerning people is if you look on his Patreon, if you go to his Phil DeFranco's Patreon, it says, what will we do with your money? And then he doesn't really tell you a whole lot about what he does with the money. He says that he'll take his 4 to 5 days a week Phil DeFranco show and move it to 7 days a week, take his 2 days a week Philly D channel and move that to 5 to 7 days a week. But in fact, in his video, he actually explains more than that. And he says that he'll be doing like podcasts, going on the street, talking to people, getting their opinions. I think what bothers some people from a donor standpoint is, what exactly am I going to be getting out of this? What exactly am I funding here? And I do think that he has told us enough for at least some initial investors.
I think in that video, he did.
He did. But it was a 4-minute video. He didn't really go into detail about exactly what he was doing. And I think for some people that's cause for concern.
Well, they don't have to donate. That's
exactly. That's what I'm saying. But I think what people are thinking is, well, he's told us so little that, and I don't have this opinion personally, and I'll tell you why. But I think what people think is that he's told us so little that he may very well just run with the money, because it's just these ideas. If you don't actually have fleshed out ideas and you aren't willing to put them forward, then maybe you don't have any good ideas and you're just going to take the money and run.
Well, if that's what he does, he's dead.
Exactly. Now, I don't think Phil DeFranco has the reputation.
No.
Nor I haven't seen, even from his most cringy videos from like 2013.
Right.
I haven't seen anything that would suggest that he would do that.
No.
Whereas when you have something like solar, do you remember what Solar Freaking Roadways was? You remember what that was?
Vaguely.
Okay, so this was this initiative or thing on Kickstarter where it was, in Kickstarter fashion, this guy had this idea. He was like I think he said he had a master's in engineering or something of that nature. I may be wrong.
I do remember this. Please continue. Yeah.
So he said, I want to make these hexagonal panels that I'm going to put on the road in place of asphalt. And the panels will be able to light up. They'll be able to do all sorts of things. They're going to be solar panels so they can generate energy. I think he ended up getting, and he had this really well put together video where he explained where he had this, like an announcer guy, explaining everything. And I think he ended up with $2 million at the end of the day to fund his project. Now we're several years later, what does he have to show for it? Well, in some parking lot, I'm not actually sure where he started. It's like Texas or Arizona or something like that. He has 5 solar panels, 5 of his hexagonal solar panels, and like 2 of them work.
Yeah.
So that's an example of something where we weren't really given the specifics, because with a solar panel, it needs to be able to generate the energy to keep it self-sustaining. It also needs to be inexpensive to produce.
But I appreciate that you're explaining all of the reasons why that failed, but that is not this situation. So while it's an example of something else that's failed, Phil doesn't have that reputation to be that type of a guy. So I mean, I understand what you were trying to say with it, but I don't know how it exactly correlates, because it's just an example of something that fails. Look, there's nothing that works 100% of the time. Everybody fails in different ventures. There's a guy who tries to do a podcast, never makes a dime, fucking quits, never hear from him again. And we can cite that story, but we can talk about the people who have made it. I mean, I don't know how it correlates very much, but I do understand why you brought it up, I think, because you're trying to state that it very well could fail. And look at this example of somebody else who did the exact same thing in another forum. But I don't think that that's what's happening here.
I wouldn't say that that's exactly why it correlates. I'd say it correlates because it's an example of something where you had your everyday person crowdfunding it. It sounded like a very good idea. Free, like more energy for people.
But at the end, it's just an example of a failure. I mean, at the end, it's just an example. It has nothing to do with Philly D.
But it's an example of a failure because the person who made it he really just had no idea what it would take to produce this.
Sure.
And I think what people think is that Phil DeFranco doesn't really know what he's doing with this, and I think that's wrong. I think Phil DeFranco
absolutely,
has every
because like that guy who had an engineering degree, he only told you that he had an engineering degree. He didn't have years of something that he could show you to back up what he was selling. Philly D does. Philly D has a almost 5 million subscriber base on YouTube. That's just on one channel. He's got multiple channels where he has developed a great rapport with his audience, and he has something that he could show that this is the path that he's on. So I think I do understand pointing out the failure in another entity, but it is a different situation. But I get what you're trying to say. Wooly, let me take some other calls. I'm going to get out of here, buddy.
All right, take care.
Take it easy, bud. Let's go to Laura. She's been waiting a long time. I appreciate you hanging out. You're live with Dead on Dave. What you got?
Oh, hey, Dave. I'm just going to apologize in advance because I've got a cold and, you know, it's extra nasally.
It's okay. I appreciate you sharing your cold with me.
Oh, lovely. Oh, yeah. But I guess what I want to bring up quickly, I suppose, because, you know, you want to go to bed, so do I.
Little bit.
And I've just got a little bit of concern because while I've been waiting, I've been trying to do a little bit of math. And
math or meth? Because math is good. Meth is no good. You don't want to do math. Don't do math.
Math. I can't fucking speak English.
No, you're good. I was just fucking with you.
I'm just going to be a little bit concerned for not only Philly D, but I'm also going to be concerned about the patrons. Because what I'm assuming is that the patrons are going to expect this to be out relatively soon. Now, unless Philly D has about 150k a month, it's not going to happen. Just for the fact I did a little bit of like adding up, and alone if he wants to pay his employees, like he gets 20 employees on board and he pays them a reasonable rate, that's like about 80 grand right there per month.
Right.
So it's not just employees, you have to also consider a studio rental, because I'm assuming he's renting and, you know, yada yada yada. But I don't believe that, you know, because ads on YouTube, because he's going to be using YouTube's, the ads are going to sustain the channel enough for it to make a profit. Because it just seems like all of this
and I think that's probably why he went to crowdfunding to begin with, is because he probably did this exact same math and he knows how long it's going to take to get this off the ground. So he probably depended on the crowdsourcing to help fill that gap so he'd have enough time to generate what he needs to generate. If he misses the target, then it's on him, and he's going to pay for that with his career. With his career, his credibility's done. So it's calculated. I don't know if it's going to work. I have no idea. I think it could. I think it very well could. But at the end of the day, that's his decision to take it to the public, and it was the people who donated to decision to believe in him. So that's the crux that I'm really stuck on. Everything else, whether it's going to work or not work, I couldn't tell you. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah. Because we just don't know. Because like even to the point that, you know, we can't even see how much Philly is making per video, because we don't know him as people. I mean, I'm going to assume 99.999% of the people who know Philly D, they just don't know him personally, so they have no idea of his spending habits. But, well, it doesn't even his spending habits that aren't even like needed. Sorry, English. But because, you know, business expenses is different from personal expenses, and you know, having a big amount of money, like I don't think he has like a good 100k saved up.
Well, we're gonna find out. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out. Depending on who you believe, his net worth is anywhere between $1 and $4 million. So who the hell knows? How much of that he wants to invest into this personally? Who the hell knows? We're gonna find out, and that's the path that he decided to take. So we'll see if it works out. Laura, I appreciate your input there. You have yourself a really good night.
Thanks.
Get better.
Oh, yeah,
drink
you
some
too, Dave.
soup.
Have a nice...
Find a nice hot towel. Put it on your
thank
face.
you.
Get yourself some soup
you,
and some
Dave.
citrus in you, okay?
All right. Thank you very much, Dave.
Soup
Have a
and
nice
citrus.
night.
That's what Dr. Copius says, all right? Have a good night.
Okay. Thank you.
She's like, shut the fuck up. I got a real doctor. Final caller of the night. It's Sean. You're live with Dead on Dave. What you got?
All right, Dave. So I was just in DMs with Tommy, and I went back and forth a lot. He only said a couple things, but what I have to say is, Keem, based off of pure speculation, because that's all this is. Nobody knows what's really going on except for D, right? So, based off all pure speculatory information only, Tommy's right. He jumped the gun when he apologized to Keem because I don't think his brain was working quick enough to, compensate.
I wish I could have got in there, man. I really do.
Right. Oh yeah, and I mean, I caught the very tail end of it, and fucking right after I got off work, or I would have been calling in that fucking Discord too. But this is the thing. What happened was, Tommy, his brain pistons wasn't firing enough because he was so hell bent on fucking on his rage on the matter, which is justified. His brain wasn't working correctly, so he couldn't go. Wait, what Keem is saying is pure assumption because yes, Philly D has sold his portion of the Disney thing, the Imagine whatever you did, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
He sold his portion of the Disney thing, right? He's also trumped up, or not really trumped up, but built up SourceFed and sold it. True, but
to an extent, they were more of mergers than they were sales. But yes,
well, yeah, right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, with all that said, we don't know what backroom deals, if any, went on behind that. We don't know what kind of contracts were signed,
or the reason why he did it, Right.
Exactly. We don't know. There could have been he could have had his foot in the, like back in the day. Let's go back 2012, 2013, 2014, when Philly D is obviously putting all this stuff in the works. He's not making as much. Even Keem said it himself. His quality back then was not that great. Even Drama Alert was beating him out on money.
Yeah.
Right. On just views alone, which equal money. So, especially before the adpocalypse. So let's just take that into consideration for just 1 second here. Philly D probably put his toe in every puddle he could to make a possible profit. Which means sometimes you sign like for me, I'm a writer. I have a couple books and short stories published, and I'm sorry, I'm not a big, well-known writer. If somebody was to come up to me and I sold my movie rights, say for 10 G's, I think they're worth a lot more. Well, so be it. So be it. Maybe that to me at that time was worth more than what that was happening. Let's say we signed a contract, and let's say 4 years from now, all of a sudden, I don't like the way they're going with the movie. It doesn't have my characters into it anymore, or this isn't done. Well, guess what? This is called SourceFed now, and we don't want that. We don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Right. So, with all that being said, we don't know what happened. We don't know when it happened, why it happened.
We do know this. This is what we do know. We do know that he stayed on as an executive with both companies that end up merging. We know that. We also know that he ended up buying back the naming rights after it all was said. So those are things we do know. And that
only leads to my, but Dave, that only lends to my point. That means that's Philly D in brand control at that point.
Yeah, I'm speaking as a positive. Absolutely.
Who's licking his wounds, right? So if we're only assuming, how do we not know that this is Philly D's new leaf to turn over? Maybe he's like, you know what? This needs to be done. We need new news versus old news because that's the way it is. Wall Street Journal's coming after everybody. So we need this, and this is my new chance to do that. I'm not saying that's what he is. I'm not saying he's not.
It seems like that's what he's trying to do. So, we'll see. All we can tell is we're going to find out if it's going to work because there's no way of knowing. So that's really it. It's going to be interesting.
One more thing, if I can, Dave.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know you're deteriorating before our eyes. And
two hours, brother. Yeah, I've been going 2 hours here.
Oh, man. But okay, so what this is, Keem is smart enough to understand what we are saying right now. Like he knows that. He's a businessman himself. He took advantage of Tommy in that time of his rage a few hours ago. So what I'm saying is, we don't know what Philly D's doing. Philly D's a smart guy, a good guy. 9 times out of 10, what he's doing is for the right reasons, even if it doesn't end up still in his own ownership 4 or 5 years from now. What Keem is doing is being classic Keem. He's mixing a little bit of his real self and a little bit of his fake Drama Alert self to stir up a little bit of drama because it's good for his bottom line.
I think
If
he
Philly
has
D-
personal. I think he has personal vendetta, not vendetta, but he's got personal feelings towards Philly D. He's competitive. I don't think that he likes that Philly went from underneath him to dominating this space. I don't think he likes that. And
Right, and that's what it is. And Keem has this whole drama thing, like, because that's his brand is drama. Even like, I mean, I think I talked to you in the DMs a couple days back. I don't know if you read it or not, but what I said was, you know, he'll tell Scarce, oh, Scarce is a piece of shit. My content's so much better than him. Look at this. Look at Scarce. And then the very next day, hey, Scarce, we got to save YouTube. We're friends.
Right. Yeah.
It's this whole it's a theme of his. It's an act. It's a character he puts on. You know, just like he called into Tommy's pod. He doesn't hate Tommy.
No, of
he
course
doesn't
not.
hate Bait. He doesn't hate none of these people. But he has to put on that kind of I hate these people or I don't like these people because his brand is drama. If Keem doesn't have drama, well then it's not drama.
Well, you know, it all comes down to perception. It all comes down to perception at the end of the day and what you can get people to believe and what they're going to believe long term. And I think that's where we're going to leave it. I appreciate the call, brother.
All right, Dave. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. You have a good night. Whew, all right. I think that's a good point to leave this show tonight. I think we had a good time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We will see you guys back here tomorrow. We got a donation. Thank you very much for that. Rebs donated $5. Pip wants you to be his hoe. Choo choo. All right. So very, very fun show tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Time's going to tell with all of it, whether you want to believe that Phil's doing the right thing or he's not. Simply, you have a choice to donate or not donate. Whoever you're going to believe at the end of the day is who you're going to believe. You know, just look into it for yourself and make the right choice. That's all it is. That's all it is. So thank you very much. Tomorrow night, we're probably going to do wrestling. Unless there's more things to talk about, tomorrow night might be a wrestling night, or I might do it earlier. I don't know. We'll see. Pokemon stream also coming up here in the next day or two. I'm doing some grinding because Dark Rising is a bitch. So I'm doing some grinding, but we're going to get back to that real soon as well. Thank you guys very much for joining me right here on Dead on Dave Productions. Make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends. Keep it copious, folks. And peace.
Here's your winner,